Greetings, and thank you so much for joining me for this rather lengthy but very informative presentation on a grant initiative that we are beginning in Murray City School District at 3 elementary schools: Horizon Elementary, Grant Elementary, and Viewmont Elementary. It's called Competency-Based Education, also Competency-Based Learning. We have shortened it to CBL. You've also heard it referred to in other school districts as PBG, or proficiency-based grading, or SBG, standards-based grading. Murray City School District was one of 7 school districts throughout the state of Utah who were lucky enough to be invited by the Utah State Board of Education to participate in a planning grant surrounding competency-based education. Let me frame it in terms of a story. If you think about, as parents, when we teach our children how to walk, not all of our children learn how to walk at the same age. Some of our kids learn how to walk at 9 months, some at a year, some at 18 months, whatever it might be. And at no time did we just say, oh, they didn't learn how to walk. And did we walk away and say, well, didn't meet that mark and move on? No, we continue to help them. We continue to celebrate their small achievements. When they fell, we picked them up, we scaffolded their learning, and we held them by their fingertips, and we helped them walk. We let go of them and let them walk on their own a little bit of time. And when they stumbled and fell, we picked them up and we helped them to walk again. The same is true with driving. We took them out in the field. We provided them with experiences. We helped them parallel park, some with varying degrees of success or another, but we gave them experiences on the road. And then they took their driving test, and most of our children passed that test the first time. Some, it might have taken them 2 or 3 times, but eventually they got their driver's license, and they have a sense of proficiency and a certificate of proficiency called a driver's license that showed them that they achieved the competency that they needed to get their driver's license. We're going to learn a little bit more about that in a minute. But in this system, what stays the same in competency-based education? Well, our children are still going to have high quality teaching and learning and engaged learning. They're still going to learn the Utah core standards. That does not change. And you are still going to learn and hear and the evidence of their learning. Their progress is still going to be presented and communicated to you. They'll still have assessments and assignments, quizzes, benchmarks, projects. All of those things stay the same. All of those things will still be communicated to you. All of that remains. The only thing that will change is how we will be communicating that progress to you. So let's take an example. If we look at this, and I'm going to use my pointer here. If we look at this grade book, and we've all seen these grade books, and we take this 91% on, say, a 100-point scale, and we had a whoopsie here. This would be equivalent to maybe a child walking and they fell. We have another score here, and we average all of these scores together, and we have a 72%. That's equivalent to about a C. And in some households, it depends. That may or may not be acceptable. And that might be a function of, did they try hard? Were they attending to the task? Did they pay attention? And were they performing at the level that they knew and understood? All of those things, trying hard, putting forth effort, and doing the assignments, are not telling us whether they learned the concept or not, right? Those things are just telling us about effort. But these scores indicate that they got a C average of what they learned. However, if you look at this and this second line and you add this 0 on there, you say, oh goodness, that 0, whether that's because they didn't turn in the assignment, they didn't understand it, or they didn't do it, we're not sure, but all of a sudden that brings that average way down. And those points on that assignment matter because you're looking of going from a C to a D. And that matters when it comes to their grade. but it still doesn't give us an indication of their learning. Now let's look at these same scores and reorder them. Maybe this happened in chronological order. Maybe this 0 happened at the beginning of the term or at the beginning of their learning sequence. And these last 3 scores happened at the end of their learning sequence. Now what this story tells us is there has been growth. The last 3 scores have now said they are learning the material and they grew from not understanding to nailing that concept and really learning and understanding. So all of these scores can be very deceiving unless we can really contextualize this in a pattern of understanding. Let's take another example. This is a grade book that we all know, recognize, and understand. We've all seen these grade books, and we look at this, and of all of these assignments, they are all worth 100 points. So they are all important. As a parent, we can't tell what isn't important, right? Everything is important, and everything is worth 100%. This particular student turned in lots of assignments, and on those lots of assignments, they got a lot of 100%, right? There are 2 assignments where they got a 50% and a 33%. And they have lots of assignments that are missing. And that resulted in this grade on these homework assignments. Now, that is an unacceptable grade in many households, because what we do know is of the assignments they turned in, with the exception of these 2 scores, they got 100%. Now, we don't know why these scores are missing. They could have been as a result of maybe a soccer tournament. These could be as a result of, say, a vacation. These could have been a result of maybe an illness. These could have been a result of a death in the family. We don't know. We don't understand. But what it has resulted in is learning. This is now a D. If this child had turned it in, we can make a safe assumption that they would have gotten 100%. Because looking at all of these scores, this child has proven that they received 100%, with the exception of these 2 assignments in this very long list of assignments. When they turned it in, they are nailing it, which is a very different story than what we see here. This is not a reflection of student learning, but rather a reflection of student responsibility or student circumstance. We're not sure. But what we do know and understand is this may not be a reflection of what the student knows and understands of the concept. This is that same student's test scores. Now we know a little bit more. 50, 56%, 75%, 57%, and 92. Now I ask you, has the student learned and mastered the concepts or the grade level material based on these test scores? No. A D does not reflect mastery or understanding of the concepts. Now I ask you this: did these assignments that the child got 100% on and seemingly would have gotten 100% on the others prepare that child for these test scores? No. Did we have a disconnect between homework and assignments and mastery of content? Absolutely. This is the work that our teachers were engaged in over the summer. Multiple assignments did not produce mastery of content. It is a reflection, however, of responsibility maybe, or vacations, we said, but this is a different story other than learning. Ironically, this child's responsibility grade was still satisfactory. Again, we don't know the circumstances behind these grades, but that responsibility grade was here. Ironically, that same child's SAGE scores or end-of-level test scores were proficient with a 3 and a 4. So there's a lot of disconnects here. And these are the kinds of stories over and over that our teachers explored in their trainings this summer. And what it does do is it changes the conversation. Standards-based grading or competency-based learning changes the conversation from chasing points in the gradebook of what assignments am I missing? What assignments do I need to make up? Can I do extra credit? How many points do I need? To what do I need to learn? What am I missing that I need to demonstrate competency in? What am I missing from my learning that I need to fix and do over and reassess on so that I understand my standards? Rather than chasing points and doing stuff, I need to change my conversation to learning. I need opportunities to show mastery rather than worksheets, packets, tests, and quizzes and homework. I need to demonstrate mastery of my learning. And so that is what we are shifting to. We want accuracy, clarity, and confidence in our grading. We want to accurately depict which standards students know and which ones they don't. And we want to communicate that to you as parents. We want to provide clarity. We want students to know the expectations and how they need to get there of their learning. We want parents to see clearly the successes and areas for growth. And we want students that are motivated by opportunities to reassess and to grow in their learning, that they are not held back by previous failures and averages that will hold them back over time. So how are we going to make that better? We want to show you a prototype of a report card that will instill in students accuracy, confidence, and clarity. And we are in the process of gathering that input from you. And there is a difference between input and feedback. So let us share with you what we are thinking about. This is the grade book that teachers will be filling out. And across the top, you can see in this gray bar standards. Now, those numbers and that little codes there, that doesn't mean much to you. It means a lot to a teacher. But basically, that means language arts, 4th grade, reading literature, standard 2. And this also means 4th grade, operation and algebraic expression, standard 3. Now that's going to become important to you later, but you don't need to know that. What you do need to know is that this gray bar is one whole standard. And all of these bars, all of these columns here are opportunities that students have to show mastery of that standard. So these are assignments inside of that one standard. This is another standard, and these are opportunities that students have had to show mastery in that one standard. Again, standard, and in this case, there's only been one assignment in that standard at this point. Standard, one assignment, okay? And on a 4-point scale, you can see a 4 is a blue, a 3 is a green, a 2 mastery is yellow, and 1 means we haven't quite gotten there yet. In a parent packet, which I'll direct you to later, Murray City School District has identified what 1, 2, 3, and 4 mean. 1 is not quite completing it at independent level yet, and 4 is I'm able to complete it at an independent level and apply that to other pieces of work and to other standards. So in here, this would be a teacher's grade level or a grade book. So here are the students, here are the standards, and here is the grades that the students have earned. So demonstrating mastery here. So as a teacher, I can quickly see, oh dear, I either need to reteach this, or this is an introductory concept. My students haven't quite gotten there yet. I need to reteach or continue reinforcing those topics. Okay, I'm going to go to the next screen. As a parent, you're going to be invited to Illuminate, which is our gradebook program. And there's a parent portal. We're about 2 or 3 weeks away from that inevitability, and today is August 30th. So we're about 2 or 3 weeks away from being able to invite parents. And you're going to be invited if you have multiple students in grades 1 through 6 at our 3 schools, Viewmont, Grant, and Horizon Elementary. You'll click here and you can toggle between your 2 students. And then you would click here into the grade book. And in that grade book, you would see this. You would see, remember when we talked about this craziness here, RL 4.2? Well, that's when this becomes important. RL 4.2, all of that craziness, that's what this means. Determine a theme of a story, drama, or poem from details in a text. There were 5 opportunities to be assessed. Now, assessed does not mean a test. Let me repeat that. Assessed does not mean a test. That just means there were 5 opportunities for a child to show evidence of their learning. Let me go back. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assignments, 5 opportunities for a student to demonstrate their mastery of that standard. 5 opportunities for a student to demonstrate mastery of that standard. And in this case, this student, Mickey Hatcher, who happened to be a professional baseball player, had 5 opportunities to show mastery of that standard, and he received a green. Okay, so he, on determining a theme of a story, drama, or poem from details in a text and summarizing the text, he had 5 opportunities to demonstrate that mastery. He got a 3.46 on that, and in that standard, that turned out to be a green. On this standard, refer to details and examples in a text. He had 3 assessments or 3 opportunities to demonstrate his competency. He also got a green. In this standard, there was only 1 opportunity to be assessed, and he also got a green. Now, I'm going to go to another one. When you click on those hyperlinks, so if you wanted to see what those 3 opportunities were, click, and it will open up the names of the assignments. Now, the one thing we have to do as educators is be more descriptive in those assignments, because that is not helpful to you as parents to say RL 42 doesn't do me any good as a parent to know what that assignment is. I don't know if that's a test. I don't know if that's an assignment. I don't know if that's a project. All I know is my child got a 1 out of a 4 points. That means proficient or blue is 4. 1 is red, 2 is yellow, 3 is green, 4 is blue. And in this case, this simply means my child doesn't have it yet. That doesn't mean they will never get it. It means that they don't have it yet, just like walking. They didn't learn it the first time, but we're going to provide multiple opportunities for my child to demonstrate their mastery of that concept, because we want our students to be competent and proficient learners. So, what does a report card look like? Well, for this student, Amy Chow, this is a hypothetical student. On her, I think this might be language arts. On her overall language arts score, she got a green, which is meeting standard. And that language might be different for our report card, but we'll have that language here. What does 4-3-2-1 mean? Not yet. And then in trimesters or in quarters, you'll see their score over time so that you can see if they are making growth or if they slip down or up. And then in each of those standards, remember that code that we were talking about? There's that code. That's what that code means. And that's how they did. And that's how many learning opportunities they had to demonstrate mastery of that standard. Rather than having 63 assignments, we are going to take the 3 things or the 5 things that we feel most and best show mastery of that standard. Not 67 things, but 5 things. The 3 most important things, the 5 most important things that show us mastery and understanding. And then here are the assignments that we used, and here's the score that they received. Here's the code, here's the skill, here's what they received, here's how many learning opportunities that they received. I hope that that is helpful for you as you see these new report cards coming to fruition, as you see these new grade books coming out, and how not every score, not every assignment means that there's only 4 points possible, but on a scale of 1 to 4, this is what your child received on the assignment. That should spark conversation with you and your child rather than how many points did you get. What part of the assignment did you not understand? What do you need to learn to become proficient? What skills are you missing? You don't have it yet, but what learning do you need to become proficient? Rather than chasing points, let's frame our conversations around learning. So here is our timeline. Our teacher spent 4 days thinking through this mind shift. We have conducted parent focus groups at the 3 schools, and we have been getting input on these report cards and answering questions. We have been finalizing the design of the report card. Teachers and students have been gathering evidence of their learning. For instance, at the beginning of my writing assignment, this is what it looked like. And now at the end of my writing assignment, this is how much I've grown. And this is what I learned throughout the progression of writing or math or reading. And students are gathering evidence of what they have learned throughout that process. You'll be getting invitations to the parent portal. And in term 2, your students are going to be leading you through their learning during parent-teacher conferences. We will continue to gather feedback and begin writing our continuation grant to implement these same standards-based grading practices at other schools. And then hopefully term 4, we will submit our grant for continued funding in our elementary schools and having those conversations at the secondary level as to what that might look like at the secondary level. For more information, we also have these links here on our standards-based grading. There's some reading, a couple of articles, some videos, and some books. But we also have, I am going to pull this over here for you. I also linked a parent packet that also has the frequently asked questions. And this is also linked on our Murray School District webpage, and I'm going to show you where you have that. But this is all of the questions that you might be asking yourself that you can't ask the screen about homework, about assessments, about the difference between traditional grading and standards-based grading, and what questions you might ask your student. What standards do you think you still need to learn? Have you discussed what you might improve a score on an assessment? Can you retest and retake a test? Questions that you might ask the teacher. How can you check your student's grade? And we talked about that with your invitation to illuminate. What is the purpose of homework? How are students motivated to complete homework if it doesn't count? And here is that 4-point grading scale that we talked about, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the language there. How will grades be determined? And then where can you get more information here? So all of that is available on the Murray School District webpage. Let me guide you that direction. So if you go to murrayschools.org and you go to, I'm going to make this screen a little bit bigger. You go to departments and programs, and of course, teaching and learning. That guides you to an outside website that we host. You click there and it takes you to our teaching and learning webpage. And this is a new program. Click there. And that program is called Competency-Based Teaching and Learning. That pulls up this slideshow. And on the very last slide, you will see our parent FAQ, frequently asked questions, and then all of these references, as well as that entire slideshow that I just shared with you. You are welcome to send any questions to your principals as well as to me. Again, my name is Melissa Hamilton. I am the Director of Elementary Education in Murray City School District. I am happy to have any conversations with you, and I am glad that you joined us today. And let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much.